A couple more months, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yes. So we were there. We went to actually do some recording for a project that we're working on, and the company that we're working with is in Jamaica. And so we had the opportunity to go and do all the recording of the videos and many of them, but we did it pretty good though. I think really it was 2 days for the most part. We got it knocked out, and there was maybe like 20 videos or something like that. So it's a lot, but
when you're trained professionals, you just get it done.
just
Terry walks in, one take. He's like, done. Next.
actually that happened. They were surprised.
We weren't messing around.
We were like, thank you, but we know the material, and so
Right.
it
Well,
was
that's true. If you
kinda
know what you're
easier
talking about.
to do that, and so. So we'll tell you more about what that project is later.
Okay.
We're going to leave that for a surprise.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So maybe by next month, first Tuesday of next month, we may
We're
have
talking about it.
some really, really final details. For
All right. And everybody who's in the studio, turn off your ringers.
Oh yes, I did that already.
Yeah. Patrick. Yeah. I didn't want to call anybody out publicly.
But you did.
It was an open mic moment. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on, that, and working on a couple other things. Really just trying to find ways more and more to reach. We have our slogan now is we want to take the message of marriage to the masses.
The Mosses.
The Mosses want to take
To the Mosses.
message of marriage.
Or message of marriage from the Mosses.
Yeah.
like
How are you changing our slogan now?
We gotta go with the M's.
All right, Carol, you got to get into this mic. So
We
they
gotta
can-
go with the M's.
Stay with the M's.
Yes.
But so what we're finding is like God is opening up opportunities and avenues to do that more broadly. And we had talked about some years ago about when we really honed in on this God's design and called it Marriage by Design. And then we wrote the book, and then we created some other resources and material, and then start teaching it. And as we start teaching it, and the responses we were getting was just overwhelming. And people were like, oh, wow, the whole world needs to know this. The whole world needs to know this. And we were like, well, yeah.
Hence Africa called.
How do you
and
get to
then
the whole
Jamaica
world?
called. Yeah.
But then these doors start opening up.
Right.
And so, and the context that now we have in Kenya, East Africa, it's multiple locations in multiple countries. And so if that really takes off, boom, there we go. And, it's a big part of the world.
You need a roadie?
A lot of folks.
I mean, I can go with you. I could be on the road show.
We actually will need a team at some point.
Oh, wow.
We
All right.
will, because the opportunities are great, and the need is great, and we're finding this message of marriage is not just an American issue or Caribbean issue or a Black American issue. It's just a human race issue.
Yeah.
There it is.
And marriages are struggling, and in Africa they were sharing that, and then for some of the contacts that some of the conversations we were having in Jamaica, it's happening there as well, and so we really are trying to find a way to help people understand you can have a marriage that is healthy and happy and joyful and thriving and successful. And then we broaden it to relationships, because in some of the teachings that we've been doing now, we've had some singles and singles who have been married or singles who want to be married. So we want to talk about that. Here's how to do
Now, that's an
relationships.
interesting
Here's how to do
point.
relationships well.
Yeah, that singles want to come and hear what you have to say,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're doing themselves a great service. And these could be divorced singles, but they're still singles, and you can learn a lot from Terry and Carol in particular, and then marriages that have stood the test of time and had to go through things like I think you guys, like Pastor Tom says, when you go through a storm, and marriage is a storm. It's a wonderful storm, but you're going to go through a lot.
Especially if you go through a marriage that struggles, then
Sure.
that's even more of a storm.
Yeah, and
So-
I think like
and
any storm, there's a lot of dynamics to it. There's moments in storm where there's the calm, which confuses you. It's like, wait a minute, am I
Right.
still in a storm or not?
Right,
You
right.
might be.
Yeah.
In a hurricane, when you're in the eye, it's calm for a few minutes.
That's right.
All right, so the dynamics that you get in the storm, and I think it's a wonderful storm. I don't talk about it in a negative light by any means. I think that you grow, you change, you expand each other and actually God reveals more of you to you than you've ever thought would be shown to you, because you don't get to see it when you don't have someone who looks at you 24/7 and knows it all. I think they truly see you, and because of that, they can be like, "Hey, just for the record, you know, you do that at night. I do."
Because marriage is a heart issue,
Yeah.
and it comes from the heart. And ironically enough, I was at the park the other day, and this couple that we have been seeing over the years, and then he was holding his wife's hand, and I thought it was just the cutest thing, so I took my camera out, wanted to take a picture of him so we could put on our website about holding hands and
Yeah.
taking a walk. So then after he placed her in the car, he came out, he asked about Terry, and I let him know he wasn't able to make the walk today. But then he told me his wife now is suffering from Alzheimer's. And he says that she's declining. And so he brings her out every day, holds her hand now, and takes her for a walk.
Wow.
I mean, that just warmed my heart,
Yeah.
because that's what we teach
That's
with
it.
our material, is that you're going to go through seasons, and it's a heart issue. So I just congratulated him. I said, you are just such a testimony to what we teach, is having that heart of, because it can start off so grand, and maybe you're young, and then you're growing old together. But then just to know that security that you're going to be there with me through the good times and the bad times. And you could just see his eyes just welling up like, yes, I love my wife. They've been married for over 40-something years, and he brings her out. He says she's declining quickly, too. Yeah, and just to see her, because years ago we would see her, she would just be on her own, so healthy. So you never know what tomorrow brings.
That's right. That's true. That's true.
a really good point.
That's true. And that's what real love does, though. Boy, it stays, and it supports, and it helps, and it sustains, and that's a lot what's missing today. What I call love American style.
Yeah, love American. That's funny. And yeah, listen, and before
We're
we
way back for that.
before we jump into anything deep, we're going to be going to commercial. But I just want to say that I am solely responsible for saving Terry and Carol's marriage this weekend, because they got a new TV, and the word on the street is that Carol was like, "See, that new TV doesn't do what that old TV used to do." And Terry was deep in the water trying to swim out of that one, and there you go.
Yeah, we got rid of our 17-year-old TV that I absolutely love. It's not what it was on the brink. But
Right.
when it worked well.
That's right. When it worked, it did.
But it was all, I mean, the whole marriage all on the line,
yeah.
if they can't hear it around the whole house. So
Mark, you came through.
It's surround sound.
we were able to set up. I laughed. I thought, I was like, wow, I saved Terry and Carol's marriage. That's why I thought to myself, thank you,
we
Jesus.
Thank you for that good deed.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
You're more than just a handyman.
Yeah.
More than an AC
I'm
man.
more than just a plumber. There you go.
right, that's
All right, listen, we'll be right back. The 103.7 Super Jam.
Horse and carriage, this I'll tell you, brother, you can't have one without the
Mark will tell it
other.
all.
What's that? Yeah. Listen, Karen, Terry was like, look, if we don't get this working, I'm going to have to move out. I was like, all right, let's work it
I
out.
got to hear this TV.
You were committed to it. You were committed to making it work.
Oh, we're going to make that work. It was going to do what it was
And it
designed
works
to.
well now.
No, it's great. You know, the whole house was going off. It's great. But, I mean, Sonos makes it easy. I'm not a brain surgeon. That's just really good technology.
But you had to figure out the technology.
Yeah. It was an
How's-
input-output thing.
How's it
that's all.
supposed to work? Why it doesn't work? What do we need to do to make it work?
Yeah. Well,
Because I knew it wasn't working.
yeah.
I knew it was supposed to work, but I know how to make it work.
Yeah, well, but you did share with me all the clues. Like, hey, it used to be wired this way.
Right.
That was easy enough. Well, what's different now? We're not wired that way, and then, you know.
Yeah. So figure an alternative.
All right, 21 seconds.
Boom, boom.
All right, let's see what I got here.
Are we gonna take any calls today?
You know, yes, we can.
Should tell them that.
Yeah. Let some of the listeners know.
All right, we're back. 4, 3, 2.
Out of the shadows, bound for the gallows.
All right, 103.7 Super Jams Radio. You're listening to Inspiring Hope. Pastor Patrick Livingston, PJ's in the house, and of course, the Mosses.
Yes.
straight out of Jamaica.
I thought it was over.
And back here with us.
And
Yeah.
dancing and praying.
All right. So listen, let's get into this.
Let's say, Fabulous, thank you for tuning in, and we appreciate you listening. And, you know, if you're listening through the program, we know you always have some good insights. Feel free to call in and, you know, help us along the line here. Thank you for
And
listening.
keep calling because I don't always see that button blinking.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not blowing you off. And it's I'm 53 and I can't see all the lights in front of me. Yeah.
Elder Dell, thank you for tuning in each time. And Paulette, we know you're listening. Thank you also.
Thank you.
All right, listen. All right, look at this. Elder Dell's chiming up. Elder. Oh, you thought you were working tonight? He said his sister and his ex-brother-in-law arrives at the 15 years of marriage. I like it. All right. Now listen to this. We want to talk about you guys and what you're doing because you got a lot of things happening. But Marriage by Design, that's the program, correct?
Correct.
And it's One Flesh Ministries.
Is the
So look, there's a few things that they're on the radio for a couple of reasons. If you're listening to this and you're struggling in any way in your marriage, okay, maybe you're not seeing your wife or your husband through the eyes that God wants you to look. All right? But you need a coach. You need someone who's been down that road who can say, you know what? I didn't always see it that way either. I did a little homework. I had to go through some things. And Terry and Carol are uniquely positioned to offer you awesome guidance. All right. So they do that one-on-one coaching, or you can get into their program. They've got lots going on. So there's lots to talk about in that area. But right now on the show, I want you guys to talk about, let's start with the first part, which is people are thinking about getting married. But, you know, and the proposal's amazing. There's that, he did a good job, okay? First of all, fellas, you get that wrong, just don't go to the wedding. So, I mean, I'm just going to give you my own advice. If you don't ask well, it won't end well. All right, let's just say that. If she's got to know who she is, all right? That's number one. But really, the truth is that there's a lot that leads up to that moment. And some courtships are short and some are a little too long. You know, so how do you know when it's time to get married? Let's start with that.
That's a good question. Someone just asked that question, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Where were we?
We get
I
that
forgot-
quite
Somebody just
often.
asked that question. How do you? Oh, that was
I
last
did.
time. I think
Yeah,
last time.
I
we
actually
asked
asked the
that.
question. Yeah.
How do you know? Oh, actually, I think last time we heard someone ask, "How do you know when it's time to leave?"
Well, see, and now listen.
That was a caller, too.
Yes,
That was a
yeah.
caller.
All right, let me answer that question. It's not time to leave. It's time to dig in. But we'll get into that. All right.
Right. So, how do you know when you're ready? Is that it?
Yeah, or how do you know when it's time to get married?
How do you know when it's time to get married? I have to write that
I
down.
love Terry. He's writing the question down.
It's
All right.
because I have to reflect back on it.
Yeah.
So here's some advice I got many years ago that I found out isn't complete. But so that's why I'm just going to share it. So if you hear this, you'll know it's not complete.
Yeah.
So I went to, a former pastor. He's not alive now, so God bless his soul. This is many years ago. And I asked him because I had found this young woman that I was smitten with. And so I wanted to ask him, you're my pastor, you married, you have children, so you have experience, so I want to know. My question to him was, how do you know when you love someone enough to marry them?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
Love someone enough to marry them. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was waiting for this pearls of wisdom to flow so I could absorb it and then evaluate my situation. So he said, oh, that's a great question. How do you know if you love someone to marry them? Well, first of all, you'll think about them all the time. I go, yep, check. Sometimes you just can't eat because you just mesmerized over them. Yep, check.
I mean, you were smitten. I can eat. I could probably eat no matter what.
And I never can remember the third thing he said, but it was three things, but I just remember those two particularly. But the third one was kind of some similar thing. And so I thought, okay, good, then I'm ready to marry this person. Now, just a little context. This person that I wanted to marry lived in a totally different state than I did. And so I happened to meet her in a different state. So met, excited, and then this is before internet, so we were doing phone calls and email, regular mail type stuff. So I'm thinking that was the one then, because those three things that I was told.
Sure.
So I got married.
How'd it go?
Well, we struggled for about 26 years, and then she finally decided that's it. She's done. So it ended
Yeah.
not so well. So now.
So did you say you struggled from the beginning? Like, was it? There was no honeymoon?
Or we went to a place.
Right.
But there was no.
No, but there was no actual like.
6 months to a year.
Yeah, that's it. Then it was like.
No,
honeymoon
unfortunately.
Then it was like Meatloaf, Paradise at Dashboard Life.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like that thing that it's unveiled, and now you see truth, and
Yeah.
now it's
Right.
like within the first year I realized, oh my gosh,
What
Yeah.
did you just do?
The strobe light went out.
yeah. I'm thinking that advice probably didn't prepare me the way I needed to be prepared, and now on this side, now many years later, I can say that advice was not complete.
Right.
Because it wasn't. That's not. I mean, those descriptions that he gave me are kind of like same descriptions if you are infatuated, and you're excited and giddy because ooh wow, this is the one. Well, that's infatuation and not necessarily love marriage style, and because that marriage requires something deeper, and it requires you to know yourself. So, by the way, I was 21, soon to be 22.
Yeah. You knew nothing.
Yeah, no,
You didn't know yourself. You didn't know who you were going to be.
So exactly. So you need to know yourself. Then you need to know your partner. You need to know who this person is.
Yeah.
Now, if she lived in one state, I live in another state. We're both around that same age, and I didn't know her, and I tried, and some of her friends, I go visit and ask, but in retrospect, if I was reading between the lines, I probably would have realized the friend was trying to give me a clue, but
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Well, and I want to ask you a question, because you phrased the question to the pastor. How do you know if you love someone enough to get married? And I want to jump all over the enough,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because I don't. From my experience, love is a moving target. Okay, meaning I don't think you can load up on the love and then make a lifetime marriage. I mean, and look, you guys are the pros. I'm just going to throw it out there as an amateur and say that from my experience, love is a choice. You got to choose it daily, and you got to choose it when it's not easy. You got to choose it when it's amazing. You got to choose it in the challenges, and there's a basis of love, but love is an action. I think it's more than just a feeling.
So
What do you think?
what if I said, in my thought, it's both?
That's what I mean.
Matter of fact, there's a book called "Love is a Verb and a Noun."
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
So you have love,
You
a
need
noun,
love.
and then you show love, the verb.
but can you load the tank up enough once to make it?
Well, I think love is the basics
Sure.
of it. You have to have love to want to have interest in that person. But it takes more than just love. Because again, we so often talk about it's a journey. And through that journey, there's different seasons. And so as long as you have love as that basics, everything else is going to kind of fill you up.
Sure.
Because it's a selfless act. To marry someone, to know that you're ready to be married, is knowing yourself and knowing that you're ready to give yourself wholeheartedly. We hear couples say all the time, marriage is 50-50. We say marriage is not 50-50. Marriage is 100-100. You're giving your whole self and you're expecting the whole self to be given to you.
Right.
So you're all in. I don't want just half of you. I've done my share. I've done my 50%. Now you do yours. No, it's your whole self.
Right.
Well, I got a question here. I've got a whole lot of questions, but I'm just going to.
And Patrick's been married like 8,000 years, so and so to all you newbies, you still are going to have questions. So,
That's
go
right.
ahead, Patrick.
That's right.
Yeah. So I love that 100% with the relationship, right? So now, who's doing the numbers in this relationship now to say, hey, I'm giving out my 100%, but then you don't feel like it's 100% that you're getting when I think I'm giving 100%. How does that measure?
Oh, now that's a good question.
It's a great question.
Who is the judge of 100%?
Right, right. So let's say that. Let's see. God's design is that you judge yourself. Because Scripture says you judge yourself and you don't have to be judged. I mean,
Right.
So if each person takes the responsibility to do 100, if we're going to use the word,
Yep.
then if so in my term, if I'm giving and so focused on making sure that Carol gets what she needs emotionally and spiritually and physically, if I'm making sure that my wife her tank is full, to me that's giving 100%.
Right.
It's 100% effort to try to make sure that she knows that she is loved. If she's doing that for me, doing the same thing, and making sure that I feel that love, and she's focused on making sure that she's caring for me and meeting my needs, and et cetera, then she's doing her quote unquote 100%.
That's how you get a new TV, Terry. 100% from Carol. That's it.
Well, so let me just make sure, did that answer that question?
Yeah, it did, but I guess I want to go a little bit further with it,
The what if.
and then and say I'm going to use this analogy and see if this is good enough. Okay, so you're 100% in your cooking, right? And the meal doesn't taste 100% to her. So what's her response to that?
But that's,
Eat it.
But that's when you have to know each other. You know that which I am a good cook. Let me just put that out there. But
I can attest.
She is.
100 there.
She is.
but with your statement is you knowing that I am not the best cook, but I'm giving my all. So now we're working together. You're working with me. I need for you to be honest with me. When I make that meatloaf, I need for you to say, babe, I know you did your best. Encourage me and help me, but let me know, that didn't taste too good. See, this is when you're working together.
Right.
Because when you're giving your all, we're not perfect, but I'm giving you all that I have. And so can you accept all that I have, or do you have unmet expectations and you're asking more of me that I don't have?
And that's why when we start putting numbers to things, we get into those slippery slopes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to back up a little bit and go back to, because I'm a word guy, so I like to define words. So we use the word love. And so we start, how do you know when you love someone enough to marry them? And you want the enough, and then we went to the, love, and how do you love someone enough, et cetera, et cetera. So let's our English language is limited because we use the same word love for everything. I love my cat. I love my dog. I love my chicken. I love my hot dogs. I love my wife. I mean, it's all kind of
Chicken, hot dogs, and my wife.
You see how
Well,
short
Terry,
this list is?
Carol, you now know the order of things.
that was for example. And so it just, love is the same thing. And so the Greek we can get a little help from, because they have up to 8 different words for love. And so I'm not going to go through all 8 of them.
I mean, we can.
No, 'cause I probably don't remember all of them on top of my head.
It makes me wonder what the Greeks were doing, that they had all this time to
Well-
come up with 8 different words. All right, anyway, go ahead.
Well, because I think they weren't intellectually advanced than we were.
Probably
So
true.
they understood, and it's helpful to understand that you can love something or someone, and it be eros love. Our word erotic comes from that. It's that passionate, romantic, exciting feeling of love, and that's not a bad thing. you in a marriage, you certainly want to have some
of that.
eros love as well.
Yeah.
You know,
But
who
that
wants to be in
can
a
fade.
marriage that's just, but you can't build a marriage just based on the
Yes.
giddy and the
Because that's
excitement.
feelings. That's feelings.
So then there needs to be probably a little philios love, that brotherly love. Philadelphia comes from that city of brotherly love. We need to have some of that love for one another. That's kind of like that friendship, fellowship, brotherly kindness kind of love. But the love that Jesus speaks of when he talks about love your neighbor as yourself, then he's talking about agape love. And I'm sure you've heard that term before. Agape love is that other-centered,
Yes.
self-sacrificing, I give my all love. Not because I want to be seen or heard or I want to be a 100%er, because I love this person that much.
Yeah.
And I want that to be shown because it's being felt. That's the kind of love that real marriage, healthy marriage, is really based upon. Because then in Corinthians, Paul puts it like this, and he says, love covers.
That's right.
Love covers. He says a lot of other things, but that one thing I think about, love covers. And so it covers when the meal doesn't taste 100%. It covers because my focus isn't on criticizing her because this meal didn't turn out right. It's appreciating the fact that she took the effort
Absolutely.
and she to make the meal.
Absolutely.
Does that
I
make
mean, I
sense?
don't want to disappoint any of you
I tell
because
you,
if
yeah.
I'm cooking, you might be needing to bring some of your love. Like, hey, Mark, that was really terrible. Let's go out.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's, if you're not the cook, like, I hate it when she gets sick and I have to try to care for her and provide a meal for her because I can just tell the meal that I provide for her is never satisfying because she's a cook. I mean,
Yeah. She's like
so
seasoning.
well, I can do seasoning, but it's just even as simple as eggs. I can scramble eggs and they're just hard and just don't taste as well.
Yeah.
She scrambles eggs and they're just fluffy and
Yeah.
beautiful and tasty. And
But
I'm like,
see-
how do you do this?
But see, in a marriage, me understanding you, understanding that you're not a cook, and so therefore you will go out. You're the best buyer.
There you
I
go.
know.
There you go. Right.
You will purchase, so you will go find the best chicken soup you can to bring home. But that's me understanding. Now, if I expect you to go in a kitchen and make some chicken soup from scratch,
Which she does, by the way.
that's
Yeah.
unmet
When I get
expectation.
sick.
Yeah. And so if I'm complaining about you, even if you just open up a can, I'm looking at your heart.
Right.
I'm looking at the fact that you want to provide a meal for me. And so therefore that's satisfying for me. So that's knowing your partner, and that those unmet expectations is what can bring a lot of conflict into the relationship.
Right.
Because you're expecting chicken soup. I make you chicken soup
Exactly.
from scratch, so why don't you?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. So
Because I'm missing 9 of my fingers. That's why I can't cook. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's what. So in Matthew 19th chapter and in 5th chapter, I believe, also Jesus was speaking to them about this whole idea. They were talking about divorce. He wanted them to understand marriage, and so many times we just don't really understand marriage the way it's to be. And so that's why we go back to the beginning. We go back to Genesis, where hey, this is what this looks like,
Right.
and we can do it. We just have to unlearn and relearn.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So now look. Now we've been talking like experts, but I want to jump back to these newbies who are in love. All right. Because there is. First of all, I think that if it's a younger couple, not been married, not a second marriage, with the changes in the world, like there is like to even get to the place where you got one person to stay still long enough to date them twice, because you got these apps. They're in the middle of you're on a date and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go back for a minute. Swipe.
Yeah.
Who can I date tomorrow? Because this isn't going that well. Maybe I can get another date tonight. Right.
Yeah.
So this is a challenge, right? For people right now trying to have a relationship, and that's really in all age groups. But I'm saying for younger people in particular, you know, they're just starting out in their lives. They're starting to develop, but they've met somebody, you know, and now they're really thinking about doing this. And so what are, let's say, I would just say, what are, like, if you have a list, and we can run down top 3 things that if you could tell a 25-year-old couple to start looking at, like in other words, we're going to do marriage. Here's 3 things you got to really, 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 really know. If it's 5 things, we can go there. We got time before you say yes.
I actually, you may not believe me, but I was writing a list earlier.
Wow.
Now, listen, one of the things about me and Terry is, listen,
He knows
listen,
his friend. He's
let
scared.
me say this to you right now. Patrick and I, and now Terry and I have telepathy. I mean, I don't even, we have zero, I have no papers.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
we are literally just, we're doing this. All right, so
Right.
I love the fact that you're ready for me.
Yeah.
Terry, take it away.
Yeah, so you said something earlier that made me think about it because I actually shared this when we were in Kenya. I shared this with the congregation. What makes relationships work was the title of that. But so that's why I say it makes it broader than just marriage.
Sure.
But certainly it applies to marriage. And one of them we said already, and that is know yourself. And that's huge. You
Please
have to,
repeat that.
Know who you are.
Yeah.
Know yourself. Know your strengths, your weaknesses, your likes, your dislikes. But also, more importantly, is understand where your emotional makeup comes from. And
What do you mean by that?
So all of us are products of our past. And some have pasts that are different than others. Some have pasts that have been harmful and hurtful and devastating. And many haven't gotten over those hurts and those pains of the past. So before getting into a serious marriage, serious relationship, one should understand where that comes from. Because if not, you'll get in a relationship and something will trigger a thought, a feeling, or pain, and you will go after the person who you felt triggered it, the one standing right by you. And maybe they really didn't understand what happened here. We were just having a conversation about cabbage, and you just went off. I don't understand that. Something triggered that. And for a person to be able to articulate that to the other person is a great blessing. So with that, I can give an example of that in my own life. That's why I'm so happy that this stuff that we teach, we practice it, and
Right.
it's not just book; it's really experience. And
Yeah.
and so when Carol and I were dating this very short period, what was it, 4 weeks or something?
Yeah, I'm married in an hour.
And I asked her, "What makes you feel loved?" And I thought, that's such a great question. It's going to take her some time to answer that one. She'll have to come back. And
She's
report back, right? Just like boom. Oh, I know. And she just rattled off 3 really, really important things. And then I asked her, well, where does that come from? And so she started sharing with me a story from her past. And when she shared that story, I mean, this scary stuff happened in her childhood that would affect any person. But because she was able to articulate that and understand how that connected to what she felt she needed to be loved and to feel loved, that became a roadmap for me, basically.
There
Then
you go.
follow that. If I do that, she'll know she's loved. And so for these almost 18 years, I've always kept that in my mind, is to make her feel this way.
Sure.
So that that feeling of the past won't come back up. And with that, with that knowledge, I would never want to, and unfortunately we don't get to these kind of arguments where you throw it back.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you agree. That's what
Yeah,
happened
the
back
reason
then.
why you
This is
did
why.
that
This is
was
why you
one
act
cause
like.
of me,
This is
yeah.
why you act the way you act now, because of this. That's so hurtful, and you basically have taken what they placed in your hands and you've crushed it, and it's hard for to get back. So, for her to know herself, and to know where her pain was, but also what her needs are,
and her
emotionally.
reaction to the trigger. Like
Emotionally.
even, hey, here's what you can expect.
Yeah,
You might hit me here by accident, and here's how I'm going to feel.
yeah.
And when I feel that way, here's how I'm going to act.
And here's why.
Right, and here's why.
The why
And-
is so important.
Right. The what without the why is a damaging thing. And if you're listening, what and why? Oh, what is he talking about? Okay. The what is get out of my face. Okay. The why. You hurt my feelings because it triggered something from the past, and now next time I'm dancing in that area, I know that I need to be really careful.
Exactly.
And if you don't recognize that this is a careful situation, you will fall into that again. And it's not with intention.
Yeah.
But to the person you're triggering, it could feel like intention.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing it again.
Yeah.
I told you last time.
Yeah.
But what happens a lot is that individuals, they know that of themselves, but they suppress it.
Uh-huh.
And they think that by suppressing something that it goes away.
Right.
And it don't go away. Eventually it's going to surface itself.
It erupts.
And if you don't understand it, then it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to explain that to your partner so that they can get an understanding. And so what happens is it will then, something will trigger it, and before you know it, it blows up.
That's right.
Because you've only suppressed it, and then it starts surfacing as time go on.
Yeah. This is the below iceberg stuff we're talking about here, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
You
100%.
know, a lot of times we so focused on what you see, that ice on top of the water, and that's what, you know. Oh, you look fine. Oh, you look handsome. Oh, you look good. Oh, you got money. Oh, you got job. And those are the top of the iceberg stuff when we talk about getting married or getting in a relationship. But this stuff under
Right.
here is what we have found in working with couples. Me for over 25 years, us together for the last 18 almost. This under the iceberg stuff is the real deal.
But
This is
I-
what
Yeah.
makes or break the
But I
relationship.
find fear is what keeps it down there.
Yep.
So that's why you have to build a relationship of trust. And that takes time. It can be years into it, but trust has to be there for me to be able to share that's down under that iceberg, to share with you, because it's so hurtful, sensitive, and sometimes you're like, I don't want to go back there, but it's necessary to go back there.
Yep.
And it's necessary for you to have the heart and the listening ears for me to, and the safety. We have to create a safe space for us to be able to share that.
Yes.
All right. Hold that thought. Oh, here we go.
That was just number one.
We'll be right back. You're listening to 103.7 Super Jams Radio.
First of all, I know these so-called players wouldn't tell you this. But I'ma be real and say what's on my heart.
Yeah.
Let's take this chance and make this love feel relevant. Didn't you know I loved you from the start? Yeah. When I think about all the years we put in this relationship,
Yeah.
who knew we'd make it this far? Then I think about where would I be if we were to just fall apart? I can't stand the thought of losing you. We ain't getting no younger. We ain't getting no younger.
Yeah.
Feeling you all the while. Yeah. Girl, let's just get married. I just wanna get married. Meet me at the altar. Yeah.
All right. The funny part about that
We ain't
is
getting no younger.
we ain't getting no younger. Let's do this. like the words of the song are exactly what we're talking about. Don't do it.
Exactly. This is not how you do
None
it.
of these reasons you should get married for.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Say, girl, I'm tired of this emptiness. I wanna come home to you and only you.
He's tired of the emptiness.
'Cause making love to just anyone ain't
You shouldn't be doing that till you get married.
with you.
But good dance song.
Finishing something we started so long ago. I wanna give you my all. Do you think about maybe us having some babies? Come on, won't you be
Listen,
my lady?
honestly, you have to let me do this. You have to let me play this song and then narrate it. Listen, hear these words, folks. Don't do that. We don't need no babies until we know we're going to be together. There's a few things we got to talk about. Stop having sex before you got married. What else can we can just, there's so many things we could pick this song apart. And Carol's going to be like, the preacher's wife. Carol, this song was written for you.
That's like, let's get married.
All right, we're gonna have some fun with this song, because it's only appropriate. Yeah. We got the preacher's wife here.
I said yes.
Yeah, I knew we had to dance. This song is right.
You probably didn't know this song before me, did you?
I didn't know this song until today.
Really? Oh my God! Listen, you can't be
I've heard that before.
you can't be the marriage coach and not know "Let's Get Married."
Come on down.
I don't remember this song before.
You know, and by the way, it was Jagged Ed and Run DMC. It's not like we're done. This is in your window.
Well, yeah, I know
No,
that.
that ain't in his
Well, no, I've heard the artist. Yes, that wouldn't be where I hang out.
All right.
They didn't play that on Sunday.
Right.
They didn't play that on Sunday.
They didn't have me working sound at that church. I'd have had it on there.
Oh, that song is played at every wedding. Now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every
is it?
wedding,
Oh, yeah.
every song.
You don't stay for the reception.
Oh, that's right.
don't stay for the
I officiate and go.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
Let me get
be
this
understand. Hey.
Here we go. Let me get this
I
queued
don't know
up.
about today.
Back then, yeah. 'Cause I don't remember. I may have. I just.
Hold on, let's get that cue point right. Here we go. Shift, boom, boom, boom. Oh, I got it. You got to get the right grab. You got to grab the point, because when I have to like hit it right when it goes to one, otherwise they don't hear it. But wait. And there's a Bro Gary Memorial Festival. That cue's a little bit off, but it'll work. All right, listen, you're back listening to 137 Super Jams Radio, but off air, if you could have heard us, all right. So we figured we're just going to replay it for you right now. If you don't know this song, this is Jagged Edge, and of course, Run DMC. Here's all the reasons you should not get married, but here we go. Ready? Here we go. Who knew we'd make it this far? All right, listen to the words. We ain't getting no younger. Let's get married. Let's just get married. Let's just do it. Nothing else to do. Now, as much as this is a jam, don't get married for these reasons. But here we go. We got more. Here we got more. 1, 2, 3. Tired of being empty. Let's get married. Well, at least he's saying he only wants her.
Yeah.
Finishing something we started so long ago. Wanna give you my all. Do you think about maybe us having some babies? Come on, won't you be my lady?
Listen. Now listen.
That's that mental part.
You know, there's a lot of fellas that use that line. What do you think about us making some babies? Right. Maybe you could be my lady. I don't know. I'm pretty sure in the club that works.
Now you Miss Simmons, got a better living. What a difference Red Bud made. Used to be the snake type, hanging out late night. Girl, you done made me change my life. Ever since you met me, keys to the Bentley. Now they call you the preacher's wife.
Carol. All right. All right. Listen, we're having a little fun. Carol is the preacher's wife. All right. All right. Well, listen. So there you go. We're back to marriage. All right. And of course, we bring a little hip hop into it because that's who we are. 103.7 Super Jams. We do it. We do what we do it our way. All right.
Love it.
Sorry, Jimmy. All right. Anyway, so yeah, I'll call you later. All right. So
Or he'll call you later.
or he'll call us later. So we talk about the first couple things. So first was know yourself.
Yes.
and then know.
I hadn't gotten to the second one.
Yeah, so know, that was all know
Oh,
yourself.
that was
all
all
right.
one.
So know yourself. Just a quick recap. Know yourself, and not just like know the core of what makes you you, where your hurts are, where your strengths are, your weaknesses, and you have to be able to communicate that to the person that you're saying, I want to spend the rest of my life. To be fair, you can't tell them everything because you don't know everything, but you can certainly give them a roadmap to work with where you've been and how to go with you where you're going.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Terry, number 2.
So before I get to number 2,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go to PJ and think, okay, from the younger generation, how does that
Any of this sounds.
resound in your mind? Is that like, oh my gosh, that's so way off in left field, or what are you thinking?
While
Speaking
you were
for the entire generation.
No pressure, PJ.
I never feel pressure. I was actually thinking as you were speaking, I personally enjoy what you guys do, and I love every time that y'all are in the studio. But I was curious, like, what is y'all's demand? Because in my generation, the need to get married is even less and less. And that's not even just here in America, because when you were first speaking, I was doing some research about what's going on in South Korea, and the women over there are refusing to get married because of misogyny and just laws in general, that even the president is like trying to, like, if you don't have children, you have to work a 57 work week, and if you do have children, you can work less. So I was kind of just curious, like, I don't know, like, for my generation, the demand to even get to y'all is not even there, because there's no desire as much to get married.
Why
as
do
it
you
once
think there's no
was.
desire? Like, in particular, because you know your age group. So I want to add, before we jump into that, why do you feel like just even in your own circle? Like,
Well, in my circle, it's kind of hard because my friends want to get married. But I would say in general, just like you were saying earlier, social media, one, makes people feel like, okay, they don't feel like they have to settle, or they don't have to like come to a partnership. It's just like, if you don't match me, okay, I'll go find someone
Next.
else.
Yeah.
And then also I just don't think people are like respectful anymore. Like,
yeah.
Hence part of our problem.
yeah.
You're
I
absolutely
feel
right.
like Ariana Grande has ruined marriage. Thank you. Next. That was his song.
So I appreciate that perspective, and let me just respond this way. That's why over the years, what we begin to shape our message around relationships. Because we were created as human beings to want to belong
Yes.
in some type of relationship. And so the teachings speak to relationships. Now, marriage specifically, it brings a kind of a higher purpose and higher level to it. But just sticking to your perspective of that generation and thinking in terms of, well, we just not even in there. Marriage is not a big thing. We're not drawn to that. Cool. But all of you are in relationship, in some type of relationship. And so relationships will work or they will not work based on these same principles. And so one of those principles in every relationship, whether it's a business relationship, friendship, parent-son, mother-daughter relationship, there are two major things. We teach three. I'm just going to speak on two major things that will ruin any relationship or cause any relationship not to work. Pride or selfishness. So in any relationship, you can think about some of your relationships with friends that don't work. Probably somewhere along the way it didn't work because one or two of those things manifested itself in a way, and that you didn't feel it and it wasn't connecting. So any relationship has to focus on those things that makes those relationships fail. So when we talk about knowing yourself, you need to understand in relationships, not you, PJ, you, a person, needs to understand themselves in this relationship. What am I looking for in this relationship? Why am I looking to be in a relationship? And how ready am I to give myself in this relationship? Because effective relationships cost. I'll say that again.
Hey, Terry,
Effect-
say that again.
Thanks, Mark. Effective relationships cost.
You got to elaborate.
It requires something of you. You just can't show up and be in a relationship. You have to give yourself. You have to be ready to share, ready to give conversation, ready to give a listening ear, ready to give help, give support. I mean, it's just a relationship isn't one way.
That's right.
It's a two-way street.
And because PJ's age group, I think it's just instant gratification.
I was just about to say that.
We need it now. We need to see it now. We need to have it now. We need to touch it now. And so I don't look for the future. I don't look for it to grow. I need to have it right now.
Yes.
And so
PJ's
patience, yeah.
agreeing.
Yeah, 'cause
Right.
Yeah.
a lot of people, like, back then, like, for instance, people would wait to have sex for marriage or all this other stuff, but now you don't even have to do that. You can just get on your phone, find someone to give whatever you need, like a hookup
Yes.
or
Yeah.
Yes.
quality time. You can just do that and then never see them again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
And it's okay.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say, and
it's an
that's okay.
understanding.
Yeah.
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 Hey,
And
all
so,
good.
And so that's more like that eros love, not agape love.
Yeah. Or not love at all. You know, I mean, and
Well,
it's
just
a
by
physical
definition.
need. It's a whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's jumping on you here.
Oh,
No,
why-
we're using his advice.
No,
we're
no,
we're
no,
getting
no.
his
Supporting him.
perspective.
We agree.
I'm his dad,
I know,
so
exactly.
I get
Exactly.
It's
Patrick
not
is in the
PJ,
corner
it's-
doing push-ups, getting ready to
Daddy,
fight. All
It's
right,
not
there we go.
PJ himself.
Are we
Yeah,
jumping?
no, I
He
know.
was
that.
saying
I
that
Daddy
the
feel like
age-
we're jumping. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I gotta. No, I don't. I do not feel that way, and I know not. Definitely.
Get
not
in that
coming from
mic.
Anyone
I'm jumping
in this
on you.
room.
Yeah.
I just like to give him a hard time that way, you know, because he knows that really smart and truly. He really enjoys you guys, and he looks forward to it when you guys come every, every first Tuesday.
And he
So-
never says that about me, so I have to say
He sees
you're
you
winning
every-
him over,
he sees
and
you-
I'm
he sees
impressed.
you every
Well,
Tuesday. He sees you
Jesus
every
put it this
Tuesday.
way: the poor you have with you always.
Yeah.
So you're always here.
But when you talk about the instant gratification, and then technology and how that comes into play, and then I'm looking at the body of work that you guys are doing and why it's in such a demand going across the globe to actually re-engage folks into why we do it and just kind of steer a little bit away from the instant gratification piece of it, because that's how they're getting fed. That's how they're learning, and that's how they're growing, So definitely, yeah, when I listen to him and the response there and seeing that, and and it just, this is what makes the younger generation, and I don't want to say it like I know it all, but for me or what I observed, that they're comfortable being by themselves, and they're comfortable, because of all of the, all of the nonsense that's going on. And the reason why it seems like a lot of nonsense is because of technology that can feed them all of the nonsense so quickly. And so they're over bombarded with all of this information, and they're just like, listen, I just want to stay to myself, because right now I don't know what to do, who to trust, and what direction to go in, because no matter which way I turn, there's obstacles there, which is life within itself.
Yep.
Our generation, we were out kicking balls, shooting hoops, and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a little bit more engaging to find someone that you want to date or something. It was a challenge.
Yeah.
And because when we were his age, we were alone. There was nothing worse than being punished. When you were punished, when you had to stay in your room and you were punished. Nowadays, these kids, punishment, they look forward to that because
Stay in the
they
room,
have
is what they
everything
wanna
they
do.
need
In
in
the
their
room.
room.
Well, so that I
And
know.
so they're not alone. You say, oh, they like being alone, but really they're in that room by themselves, but they're not alone because social media feeds them, gives them everything that they need.
And I'm going to say that ain't punishment. Parents, you want to punish your kids
Yeah.
today? Turn off the power in their room.
right.
Get rid of that internet.
And here, let me
Get rid of the
get a little more creative. Take the door off the wall.
Oh, did
And
that-
then, like old school, instantly being alone isn't so great, right? 'Cause you know what I mean?
Right,
Because
right.
when you're seeing everybody out there in the house having a good time, and
Yeah.
you're looking out with your no door, no privacy, and no power,
Yeah.
it's a different situation.
Yeah.
And but you certainly bring up a great point, that there is a certain ability to be alone today that we didn't have, and because you literally can have a relationship vicariously through any one of these YouTube, whatever, it doesn't matter. And when I say relationship, meaning you could just take in information that's enjoyable to you.
It's fulfilling. to
Yeah,
them.
yeah, and so herein lies the rub. What's been described is the problem.
Right.
It's not the solution; it's the problem.
Right.
And it's what I sum it up by saying we just don't know how to do relationships well. We don't know how to do relationships, and so when a relationship becomes a social media like, or my friend on Facebook, that if that's the extent of your relationship building, then it's going to be difficult when you try to give yourself in a serious relationship like marriage, because you will be ill-equipped,
Or even dating.
or even
I
dating.
mean,
Any significant relationship, right?
Because it's like it troubles me for the younger generation to not see the benefit in a deep relationship, right? It's a lot of, and from the outside looking in, it's surface.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
second you poke the hot spot, we're done,
right.
right? And if we can help, which what you guys are doing is great, is the younger generation see that there's a benefit to the work. And I call it work because there's not a great word for it. But let me say this. There's a benefit to the investment.
Right.
It's
That's
probably a better way to say
That's
it.
better.
Because I don't consider my marriage work. I consider it a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider any relationship that I have work. It's when those people are in my life, I'm in and this wasn't always me, but I'm in an appreciative state that they bring something to my life, or I get to bring something to their life, and that's different than just consuming what people can give me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And-
But I have a question about that.
Sure. I'm not the father.
I know. when you talk about it's not, you don't consider your relationship as work. I think I get two different type of response from that.
Sure.
And I just want some clarity on it, and then tell me which direction, if you may. I love what I do. I don't consider it as work because I love it. But man, it's a lot of work.
Is it a
You
lot of
know,
effort
it's
or a lot of work?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. There's days, when I think of, and I hope I don't, insult anyone by using this analogy, but there's a lot of days, and I wake up, and I have to get up, and I have to go out there, and I have to find the energy to go do what I need to do, although I love it. When I get there, it's always pleasurable. And when I engage with someone and I see that I have a purpose, it takes all of that away. But, I want to, for me, I'd like to be very careful, because folks tend to get hung up on that piece of it, that where you are at, and think that's what it's all about. And they don't see that other piece of it, like, when you say it's not work, but you're putting in work, because there's times when you'd rather be at a softball game, but you have to make that choice to say, hey, you know what? There's something that's going on at home that's much more important that I have to go, attend to that. And that, where I'm saying that's where the work comes in, because we have to make those type of choices, Although, we like it, we enjoy it. Folks, we don't want to create this utopia of, when you love someone, that it's
No work.
It's no work.
All right,
or
now
that
listen,
it's-
I'm going to disagree with all you guys, and on purpose. And listen, I'll tell you why. I don't disagree with anything you said, but that is not work. That's effort, and that's intentionality to
That's
me.
the
Okay.
word I was
So
gonna
what I'm saying is, yes, you're going to make choices. So what you've heard the old adage: you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. It's just that simple, right? I'm saying yes to my wife. I'm saying yes to my marriage. I'm saying yes to my priority, my core value is what I'm saying yes to. So I do that with intention. So I don't feel like it's work, but it's certainly effort. And there are days, I agree, that I don't want to go to the hospital to visit my mother-in-law.
Okay.
Not because I don't want to see her, but because I'm tired.
Right.
But that's an intention I have to show my wife that I'm here. And so that is so just like anything, even in the ministry or any business, even at the Air Squad, I have to choose the Air Squad priority when I'm faced with other things that could interfere with it, right? So that's just, for me, it's intentionality.
And
Okay.
I will say, you both are absolutely correct.
That's what I
That's
was
the
gonna
word
say.
that came to my mind, intentionality. But the work comes in when you're getting to that point. When you're getting to the point of being intentional, and then intentionality becomes then the easier part.
Exactly.
No, but
Because
isn't the work on you?
But it's work getting to that point.
Sure.
Because when, just say you get into a marriage and you're used to being alone, and you're doing things on your time, your way,
Absolutely.
and now it's work getting out of
Out
your
of your
own
own-
head
Right.
and
Exactly.
not being selfish anymore.
Exactly.
And when you then are intentional in doing that, and then you've been doing it for a while, then
Exactly.
it becomes easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to say the same thing about
No, you weren't.
both
No,
right.
you-
About you both being right. Is what I'm going to say. Yeah. I know you can't believe that I would say the same thing. Can't possibly be.
See, that's intentional.
No, I was just joking.
So no.
What I
So it
think
goes
is-
back to the word work.
Yeah.
Kind of gets lost in that same
Yeah,
thing
exactly.
like love.
Yeah,
You know,
I was thinking, listen,
Yeah.
man. Yeah,
See, wait a minute. It's happening. Patrick and Terry are having telepathy.
I feel him. I feel him.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
so again,
I was gonna ask that,
because I'm
actually.
word guy. You know, I self-confessed word guy. I just love words because words have meaning, and it conveys communication. And so, work. Let's put the word work aside.
That's right.
And let's talk about what's going on. So you're describing what's going on in that I have to get up, I'm tired, but I know I need to go and do the work of the ministry. And when I get there, and I'm engaging, and and it's rewarding, and it's feeling good. But it takes that effort. It takes that. That's why I said relationships require something of us.
Sure.
It requires your work in the ministry requires something of you. And Jesus knew that when he called those disciples and he said, come follow me and I will make you fishers of men. So you're going to be doing something, but it's different than what you're doing now. Just, you don't know what it is, but just come follow me. So it requires something of you. Just like as Mark's talking about in the marriage, it requires something of him. It requires a choice, a decision. It requires intention. It requires a lot of self-sacrifice if you're going to do it well for the other person because of your love for the other person, not because, I can't believe I got to give up something. Here I go again. I'm always doing this. That's not the attitude we want to bring in that. So it's like, yes, you're both right. Yes, there is effort, and that effort we call work, but it's not the same work as ditch digging or I'm out, it's 90 degrees and out doing asphalt paving. I mean, it's
Well, you know what? I want to say this. If it feels like ditch digging type of work, then you're not doing something.
Something's
that,
wrong.
Yes.
Exactly.
Your lens
You know?
is wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I was going to say. And we describe that as doing and being. When you are being and you're intentional and you know that I am doing all that I can for the love that I have for my spouse, then that's when it becomes easier because that is who you are. But when you have to force it, then that's work because it's harder. So I always say patience. Okay, I can either be a patient person or I can do patience. Doing patience, I'm just, you know, but I know I'm waiting for my turn. That seems hard and long. But if I am growing to be a patient person, then I'm not even focused on the time that it's taken for me to get for it to be my turn,
Right.
because I have became that. You see what I mean?
And you bring up a really good point, and I think that's probably where I don't articulate my whole thought.
But as I said, that's what you were talking about.
Right, which is basically the idea that when we're offering what a relationship takes to anybody, you know, if we're not even talking about marriage, there's a ton of self growth and a ton of maturity in yourself that happens, and it's not so your relationship. The challenges don't go away, they don't stop, but how you see yourself, and it's kind of like your journey with Jesus, from being saved through sanctification, right? That whole process of sanctification. You know, you're becoming, like you say, what you weren't, and you know. So when you find somebody that has got you all starry-eyed and butterflies in your stomach, one of the first criteria I would offer is that they give you a desire to become more. You know what I mean? In other words, and especially in this very, very fast-paced world where you can meet somebody and, you know, that they have to give you a desire to be the best version of you could be. And that inspiration spawns love and also changes behaviors.
And that takes time.
That takes time.
It's what flies in the face of instant gratification.
Exactly.
In a sense, that's what I said, that the
Exactly.
problem is not the solution where we're in right now.
Right.
It's the problem, is
But-
we don't take that time.
Yeah, I know we get ready to go on a break here pretty soon too.
Yep,
But you
coming
know, one of the things I wanted to ask, because listening and you hear different, you're getting all this information here, and you guys are international with what you're doing, and with technology, you have customs, that people follows, right? And you're just like PJ, he loves doing research and things. And then he sees that, in this culture, they like to do marriage this way. In this culture, they like to do marriage this way. So you got all that information. And it makes us feel like, okay, can I put a good marriage package together that would suit me? You know what I mean? Can I take a little bit from what they're doing over here in Africa, in Kenya, and blend it with a little bit of what they're doing here in the U.S. or Jamaica, and then say, this is something that how I would like to live my life, Do you get a sense or a
Hang
feel
tight.
or anything like
Stay
that?
right there with that thought. We'll be right back. 103.7 Super Jams Radio. All right, we'll be back pretty quick on this break.
And then you turn it off.
And you put on Joel Osteen. So I'm pulling it that way.
Really
Put
put
it
it
back
back
on
on
Joel
there.
Saw you outside, passenger side, 'cause I let my best friend drive. You was in line. That's when you caught my eyes, girl. You were so beautiful. Beautiful. It was so critical. So critical. You look so crucial.
right, 9 seconds, kids.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Here we go. 1. All right, we're back. 103.7 Super Jams Radio. You're listening to Inspiring Hope. We have the Mosses in the house. One Flesh Ministries. We're talking about relationships, marriage, and we're talking about this song right here. Now, this is my jam, and I don't care what they say in this song. Get married to it. Me and Carol are getting down. Terry, you never heard this one either? All right, listen to the words, Terry. You're going to change the whole program after you hear the song. Right now.
You outside, passenger side, 'cause I let my best friend drive. You was in line. That's when you caught my eyes, girl. You were so beautiful. Beautiful. It was so critical. So critical. You look so crucial, girl. Something about you, it's everything. You are mine.
All right, now so listen to this. One of the craziest parts about this song is it's talking about how they met. There was no swiping. There was no internet. She drove by in a car, and she was beautiful. And that's all. She was in the
online.
passenger side of his best friend's ride.
His best friend was driving his car.
Yeah.
And she was online to go in the club.
This is what I'm saying. Now
And,
listen. What?
You know, he sees her. You know, I've been there now. I'm a confess, you know.
Now, that is about that line is about 87% of all marriages before the internet.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
You go into the club, you gotta wait in line, and,
That's
and,
it.
and you got your nice car, you know.
Hey, girl.
You gotta have something to get the attention.
Something to get exactly.
Listen, see today,
The
like,
internet, though, dude, that just takes all of that fun out,
listen,
you know.
and you guys, I laugh about that, but my move was I was the DJ. So the girls were like, I'm with the DJ, you know. So, but yeah, I didn't have the car, but I had the records, you know. So, but you had to have
That's
something.
more important.
And I could get right past the line. It was not even an issue. Like no party if I wasn't allowed in, you know. But listen, let me say this. First of all, it's been a super fun show.
Yes, yeah.
All right, like I always enjoy when we're all together.
Yeah.
All right, so listen, we are really trying to offer right now a case for a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
We're going to call it marriage because you know.
Some people aren't married.
Right. Some people aren't married, but I'm speaking from a pro-marriage standpoint because I want and I hope that everybody gets to experience a relationship and what it's like when God's in the middle.
Yes.
And two people are seeking God, and you follow these by design. So, Patrick, you asked the question just before the break. You know, there's a lot of different cultures and a lot of different versions of marriage, okay, and that has to be accounted for, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be meeting a bride and a groom right after this. He's Haitian and she is Latin, and they asked me how I was going to DJ that wedding. So just to be brutally honest, I have no idea. But honestly, I said, look, if you get me the Haitian top 25 and you get me I could work with it.
Right.
Like you just have to clue me in on what works, right?
Right.
But the point is, there's such a diversity in where we're coming today. See, it's not the same as it was in that you stayed with your own race or you stayed with your own culture. That is broken down.
Oh, big
Now
time.
you can marry whoever you really want. At least here in America, you can. And now people have something to say, but not like they used to have something to say.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So now how do we answer the question you asked, which is, and I want to put this to the Mosses and M squared, Moss squared. I want to put this out to you guys. Is I think that you have cultures, you have traditions, and all that kind of stuff. Where's the core set of values that they get to build the variables on? Is what I'm asking. In other words, because the variables are there. Your culture's there, your background's there, your upbringing, all these things. But you got to build it on something. So what's the foundation?
So your example that you're going into after this is a good jumping off point to that question, because they ask you what music are you going to play. There's just a lot of music now. You got the Haitian music, Latin music. What are you going to play? Are you
Yeah.
going to play more of this, more of that? And what was your answer? Get me the top 25 for this. Get me the top 25 of that, and then I'll build you something.
That's right.
So there's a foundation that you start with. So I'm going to answer what mine became over the years, after being married for 26 years, after seeing marriages for over 25 years, and after being married again, and then doing this marriage, and then doing these teachings. All what I began to realize is, if we take the models that we see, we will repeat the failures
That we
of the
see.
past.
Yes.
That we
Of that
see.
particular model.
See,
Yeah.
of that model or models.
Okay.
Because I've asked the question over the years, over 20-some years, I've asked the question of groups or couples or individuals or conferences, whatever. How many marriages in your household, in your family of origin, your church, your community, how many marriages have you seen that were so healthy and loving and vibrant that you wanted to model your marriage after that? Can you guess what would the average?
0 or 1?
That's exactly right.
Wow.
Now think about what that means. Looking at marriages over the years and people looking at marriages around them, and 0 to 1 is the average that they see is someone they want to model themselves after. So our models aren't really great if we're going to look around us and try to pick from this one and pick from that one. So I start thinking over the years, well then what's the answer then? and how do I know for me, and what is going to be true? What is going to be true north, so to speak, for me?
Sure.
And I'm thankful that this, I'll call this revelation, so to speak, came in terms of going back to the beginning, going back the way the Creator designed it to begin with. And hence our book, In the Beginning, It Was Not So. In other words, what we see now, in the beginning, it was not so. What are the 7 marriage lessons learned in the garden? So we go back to the Garden of Eden. We see how God brought man and woman together, but how God prepared man for the woman, all of that. And so we start realizing if we plug that into various other models, now we start realizing the gap. The problem isn't marriage. The problem is people don't understand how to do marriage correctly. Having healthy relationships is possible, but we don't know how to do healthy relationships because we're around a lot of unhealthy relationships.
So would you say, just stop right there for a second, would you say that having the healthy center core can endure the cultural differences?
Yes, and I'm going to elaborate, because that's why we have had such confidence going to other countries and sharing the same message that we're sharing here with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's being received well. Matter of fact, they want us to come back this year. I'm like, it's a lot of money. But because, thankfully, and to God be the glory, we're able to share a message that they received and realize when they put their culture and traditions and beliefs, when they put it up against that, they realize that there's something wrong here. And so though the model is showing itself to be powerfully true, and it's escaping many of us because we just don't see it. And so our goal is to get the message of marriage to the masses, because people are hurting and they need help.
And because we've been on the other side also.
well, true.
And we're able to do this internationally to other countries, even with that stigma that some may look at, well, you guys went through a divorce. So now we know not the right side, and now the right side. We didn't
Or
do it
healthy
so
and
well.
unhealthy, or
Yeah.
functional
Healthy
or
and-
dysfunctional.
Yes.
You know, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
because we understand the hurt and pains of a divorce and being in a relationship that was unhealthy.
Yeah.
And now being in a relationship 18 years, almost 18 years, and it's super healthy.
Yes. Yes.
And now we're able to explain the difference. And when we started writing our material and really diving in and studying how God created us and how he created this union of marriage, it really put that passion in us, and we live it every day.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of this. When we were in Kenya, and we were asked to talk to this couple because they were having some problems, and they've been married for a year, and just a lot of different issues and problems. And the host family they were staying with just asked, could you guys spend some time with them? Sure. I mean, that's what we're here for. Let's do it.
I mean, we came 3,000. I mean,
more.
Yeah, more
And
than
traveled
that.
Almost
24
8,000.
hours.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to them.
Yeah. So we ended up having a conversation with them, and we talked with them for 4 hours.
Wow.
It was great conversation. But one of the issues was a tradition, and it was the father expecting the son to support them, even though now he has his own family, and how is he going to support his family and still support the family of origin? And so he thought that was a major issue. And then as he was sharing that, then he shared some other things, and there's some other things, and started realizing, okay, there's a lot of issues here. But here's the thing. I don't even know if we even got to well, here's how you should handle your father thing. I think maybe at the end we kind of maybe gave some advice around that. But there was this need to understand marriage.
Yeah.
And working together.
And in marriage, the way God designed it, it says it so clearly in Genesis 2:24. It says, for this reason, they leave father and mother and be united together, or King James, cleave together. Cleave with your wife.
They're all
be
cleaved
united,
up.
and you will become one flesh.
Hence, One Flesh Ministries. Yeah.
Hence, One Flesh Ministries, exactly. And www.onefleshministries.org. You can contact us. You can find information about us. And we are relationship coaches if you need some help and guidance. There you go. How's that
I
sound?
love nothing like a good shameless plug in the middle of it. And we support that. Yeah.
Shameless plug in the middle of a thought. And so understanding that it is God's plan that you leave the household that you grew up in, and that you are accountable for, and that you had obligations and you follow the rules of the house. But now you're a new family. The one fleshness is now you're a new family. It's now you're one new family. And that one new family, now you two, husband and wife, you set the rules of this house and how you're going to navigate. If in your budget you can still give and help the family of origin, then you put that in your budget, you agree, and you do that. So it's not exclude tradition, forget the old way, as they say. No, it's understanding the foundation of truth is this. And now instead of trying to fit the word into my stuff, learn how to fit my stuff into the word, and we'll find better results.
Because oneness allows you and helps you to do that.
Yes.
When you made a good point when you said when we agree.
Yep.
And that's what oneness, and I just love it because if our audience don't know by now, Terry and I are two different people.
Totally different people? Is that what
Totally
you're saying?
different. I'm cool when he tries to be. But
I mean,
It's true. I can't argue with that. It's true.
But it works so well for us. With our differences, we're that one flesh. So we unite together so well because I love your differences, you love mine, and we bring them together and make a whole. So I hear a lot of people say, well, we're arguing and fighting because we're two different people. Well, yeah, you're two different people, but you just have not learned how to be that one flesh, how to come together and be unified.
Yeah, yeah.
now I've heard it said that God took a rib and made woman, or the rib can be translated to side, right, or characteristics. So in other words, before woman, Adam was God's image. Once woman was created, then together it's the full image of God, right? So in other words, we don't have the same characteristics. Women and men are uniquely different because we don't have all of the characteristics of God individually. I don't know how factual it is, Terry. I see the look on your face. But really, but just think about this for a second. When God created man, now he made man in his image, really, right? And then, wait a minute, we got to do better than that. We got to bring women into the picture. And then he says now that's God's image. So we both couldn't be completely God's image without each other now. Am I correct?
Yeah, and you're correct, but
I don't know if I agree 100%.
But the fact that when we say God created man and then he created women, which is so true, but there's a gap in between, and that's the journey that we take couples on, is understanding that there was a journey for Adam before God created the wife. They want to instantly, like in our class, we laugh about this. We haven't gotten to the lady yet. We haven't gotten to Eve, because there's a journey that God takes Adam on in preparation for Eve. And that's the thing. We don't go through that preparation period to be spiritually, mentally, and emotionally prepared for when Eve arrives.
For any woman, yes. and men, listen, you already know that. That's a training group. You should be taking that class, okay? And so listen, and I want to throw one thing out because we're running out of time, but I wanted to throw this out here. You hear this said all the time. That's my truth.
Oh, yes.
All I want to do is jump out a window when I hear somebody say, that's my truth. I want to say this. I believe there is the truth, and then there's our experience. Okay? Your experience is being confused with my truth. My experience is I haven't had love like we discuss until Stacy. So I didn't have that as a truth in my life, but it was a truth all along. I just never experienced it. Now, I don't know if we got enough time in the show for that, but I just want to say, if you're experiencing a moment where you're like, this is my truth, I want you to think about it. Is the biblical principle not true because you didn't experience it, or because it's not true? And you know, and that's just something that I want to put out there, because I really, when I hear somebody struggling with the Bible in particular, if you just take God out of the Bible and you take the principle, does it hold up? And if it holds up, but you never got that experience. In other words, like for example, I would just say, sex before marriage, right? Well, there's a lot of things that can go awry in that. That's just a principle, right? And if you wait and you stay together, there's a family unit that can be built if you're following the principles. But you could do anything wrong. I could get you a puzzle, and I could say, put it all together. You put all the pieces in the wrong spot. That puzzle is going to be the picture at some point, but it's certainly not if you're doing it against the way it was designed, right? My dad used to say, if you're taking something apart or building something and it's not going easy, you're doing it wrong. And what I mean by easy is that when I take apart an AC, I can't yank the blower motor out without unscrewing it. But I can yank on that blower motor all I want, and it's gonna fight me. And so all I'm really saying is, as a thought for ponder, and we can pick this up another time because this is a deeper topic, is unrealized truth not truth?
So I like how you define truth versus experience. So the first time I think I remember hearing my truth, the statement, well, that's my truth, we were actually in a coaching session with a couple in Illinois some years ago. And she says something about him that I looked at him and said, is that true? He goes, no. She goes, well, everybody got their truth. I got my truth. So I started thinking about that. I'm like, wait a minute. So if you have your truth and you have your truth and you're in a relationship and you're both looking at truth differently, then how do you ever become one? How do you ever get to agreement? How do you get to compromise?
Sure.
So I realized that's a dangerous statement to just stay there.
Yeah.
Now, I like what you said. Everyone has their experience, but somewhere there's truth. This pamphlet I'm holding up, that listeners, I know you can't see this, but is it true that this is a pamphlet?
It is.
Somebody said, no, that's a brochure.
Well, I mean, you can call it what you want.
So that's
right.
my point.
Right.
Exactly. So
it goes to those words again.
Exactly. And so we can argue about, is this a pamphlet or this is a brochure? But at the end of the day, does this say what it say on here? And does it communicate what it's trying to communicate?
Yeah.
So somewhere along the way, we have to find compromise and stop getting caught up in the what my truth. And, just look at the world today, and a lot of things that's going on, and everybody some believe this and some believe that, and I'm on this side and you're on that side, and I'm dogmatic about what I believe and how I feel, and where do we get to compromise? How do we get to
Right.
And so there has to be that idea of appreciating each other enough and caring enough to just give people an opportunity to express their feelings and their thoughts. I think you want to say something.
But I like what Mark said, and when he used the analogy of the air conditioner, because there's a basic design.
Right.
There's a basic design. Now, you can create it a little differently. You can add another knob. You can make the air come from the bottom and the side or whatever. But there's a basic design. And so we had spoken with a couple who were married for many years, but they said that they were not Christians. But we asked them what were the basic principles of keeping their marriage happy and longevity. The same principles. Mm-hmm. So although you say you're not a Christian, the principles remain the same. There's a design for relationship. There's a design for marriage. Yeah. And when we follow the roadmap and the designs, that's where joy, happiness, and all of longevity falls into place.
Yep. I just want to share something with you. So I watched your video this week in Reengage, right? So the Mosses were on the big screen.
Yeah.
And and that is a big screen. So you like a legit big screen.
Right.
And, so Terry's describes meeting Carol's mom. Yeah. And he talks about how it was like the interrogation. Like he'd prepared for it, but he says no, Secret Service could do better than she did. And so she let him. She was like, and years later, she came to him and she thanked him and she said, "You kept every promise." Mm-hmm. And Terry's statement was, "How good do you think that made me feel?" Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting perspective. In other words, you're going to say a lot of things in the beginning. And where are you in the preparation? I talk, to keep your word, right? These are important things, right? So when you've got the guard at the gate, Carol's mom, letting you know your legs and ankles will never work again correctly if you get this wrong, you know what I mean? And you make a promise. That's the you part in the deal where I said I'm going to be. Yeah. Right. So how committed are you to yourself and your own word? And the next step is, Stacy and I were talking, and every once in a while when Stacy wants to talk about her past, she will tell me some things that really hurt me for her. Like like when Carol tells you what and she says, "You know what, Mark? I can tell you anything, and you don't judge me." Mm-hmm. And that's not something I was doing intentionally. I just saw her that way. And when I met Stacy, she was the woman I wanted to be with, and all of those experiences made her that. So when she's revealing these things, well, maybe it just makes the puzzle a little bit more clear, but it certainly doesn't change what I think of her. If anything, it makes me that much closer. So if you're in a relationship, I'm offering this to you, that when your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend offers you the real stuff, like the stuff that is very hard to say, embrace it. It's a blessing. It is probably the most love you're going to get from that person is when they just let it all out. When, hey, I'm not going to hide this from you. I had A, B, and C. I did this. Okay.
And that was her truth.
And you know what?
You're talking about truth.
That was real truth.
That's
right.
Real
That was a real experience.
Real deal. Truth.
Yeah.
And that goes to answer his question about how do you know you're ready for marriage. If you can't handle that,
Yep.
then you're not ready.
100%.
That answers your question.
Now that was a great way to just circle all the way back.
I
from
love
the
it.
beginning.
Yes.
That's a
Carol,
tie up
reel
there,
it in.
baby.
Come on down. Literally drop the mic.
Well,
Patrick?
I want to say this, and thanks for the executive producer pointing it out to me, because my truth was this event was this coming Saturday at 4. That was my truth. I went out, I bought this stuff because we're feeding the folks.
Oh.
So I went out and I
So
bought
you're in
this
trouble.
stuff and prepared for it. And then I come in and I talk about it on air and say, "Hey guys, you got only a few days left." And then PJ pointed out to me, it's May 4th. So, so
Yeah.
that was my truth, and then there's the truth. It
sounds like it's gonna be a
it's
lot.
written, it's right there.
There you
know,
go.
so
There you go.
we all make mistakes, and I think it's just a nice way to say when you're going into a relationship, we see things, we're going through things, and our brains think one way, and if you'd ask me, I'm planning on it.
Yes, because you know that's true.
I
You
know
that's,
that's the
right.
day.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Yeah.
And then to find out that, then how easy it is for me to go back to say, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I made a huge
Yes.
mistake."
Yes.
And that is relationship, a partnership. So you said one thing, your executive producer done research to find out that it was not that way. So he didn't bust you out. He
Exactly.
gingerly let you know.
Exactly.
And then you accepted the fact. And because your character is kind and truthful, then you spoke on it. You see how relationship works?
Listen, all I can say to all of this, let's stay together. All right? Now, listen, if you don't know what just happened to you, you've been listening to 103.7 Super Jams. We have the Mosses, One Flesh Ministries in the house, and Marriage by Design is their program. What's that website one more time?
OneFleshMinistries.org.
All right, and listen, you've also been listening to
And the
Inspiring
producer
Hope.
has also posted on our WhatsApp, right? Not WhatsApp. Again, make it. Listen, go ahead.
on the chat.
Thank you.
We have a chat on the Super Jams app, and listen, PJ is the glue,
Yes.
And
We
now
love
you-
you, PJ.
and-
Thank you.
and now you see why. All right. So listen, if you don't know, this is Inspiring Hope. We are a very proud part of Arms of Hope, and located in 1512 Wingfield Street, city of Lake Worth Beach. And look, we serve food. Okay, we got hot food. We also have a food pantry. It's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 11:30 to 2.
And we're going to put a big party together. We haven't selected a date yet. We're working on that tomorrow.
All right.
I'll be sending Blacks a text later on today. Get this together. We want to make it happen with Super Jams, and we want all of you guys to come out to this wonderful
Yes.
party when we put it together.
All right, so listen,
Yes.
we thank our guests. We always love when Terry and Carol show up.
Oh, thank you. Thank
PJ, listen, again, this show has become stable.
Yes.
And that's because of you.
We love
and
you.
Patrick, it's May 4th. All right, anyway, so, all right, everybody, we'll see you next time. 103.7 Super Jams Radio, Inspiring Hope.
Well, the times are good, bad, happy, or sad. Why people break up? Oh, and turn around and make up. I just came to see